Dear Agni Yogis, following the education of the physical body, we shall be talking today about the mastery of thoughts. The subsequent broadcastings will then deal with the education of the bodies of feelings and of instincts, and finally with that of the eternal individuality. If your physical body, the brother donkey, is allowed to treat its master, the soul, any way it likes, the latter can never develop, and its true concerns will always be suppressed. The same is true if the body of thoughts rules your higher self. Every epoch has its defining characteristic. For the New Age, it is thought, this mediator between the physical and the subtle realm. Each era has its own call. The power of thought will be the evocative principle of the new world. The present century is the century of thought. A new development, the progress of evolution, is always based on new ideas or ideals, that is, on thoughts. Thought is the mover of evolution. Whoever wishes to take part in the evolution of the world must understand the significance of thought. Without a new thinking, nothing will change. If you think the way you always thought, you will act the way you always acted. If you act the way you always acted, you will get what you always got. The education for mastery is above all a school of thought. In its essence, the Brotherhood is a school of thinking. The training of the faculty of thinking is at the foundation of our inner life. We can and must practice right thinking like any other skill. It is not so easy to learn to think. We constantly perform exercises for clarity of thought, for thinking requires practice. Even the loftiest thinker will not deny that he too must exercise this capacity, just as a musician must practice constantly. It is undeniable that our thoughts have a certain life of their own. They come and go as they please. They try to lead us here and there. They influence, they torment, and they delight us. It is therefore helpful to assume the existence of a separate body of thoughts, which acts in the sphere of thought, in the subtle world, just as the physical body on the material plane. How am I to understand this? Do thoughts form a body? No, but you can regard that what thinks within you as a living being in its own right. You must learn to master, purify and refine its stirrings in the same way as those of the physical body. The body of thoughts must become as willing and suitable a tool of the higher self as the physical body. On the plane of thought, too, the spirit has to subdue the lower nature. Here is a crucial realization. It is not you, your true eternal being, who thinks, but your subtle body. Your higher self will place itself just as much above the intellect with its many thoughts that never come to rest as above the body. Your soul must steer the body of thoughts as one of the four mortal bodies, just like the charioteer controls one of the four steeds of his quadriga. We repeat, thoughts are physical forms. They consist of particularly fine, subtle matter comparable to gas or smoke. They are measurable, weighable, and under certain conditions even visible, photographable, and audible. One of the simplest experiments will be the weighing of an individual under the impact of his different thoughts. A sensitive scale and sharpness of thought will provide clear contrasts. It is known that some people can hear thoughts. They leave behind physically perceptible traces. One day there will be devices that can capture and record thoughts. Even the passing shadow of a person leaves behind an ineradicable trace. How then to describe the impact of thoughts and words? The light-mindedness of humanity is astonishing, for with its every step it leaves behind the most frightening deposits. Thoughts are living beings of the spiritual plane. They do not pass away, but continue to live indestructibly and eternally in space. Hence our great responsibility not to give birth to bad thoughts. They cannot be undone. Thought is an independent creation, a newborn entity of the spiritual plane. It is a creature with all the signs of a self-sufficient existence. As a being of the spiritual plane, thought cannot be annihilated. Like all living beings, they grow. Thoughts are born. They develop, spread, and fight each other. We nourish them. They nourish each other. And they nourish us. Thoughts as living matter can nourish each other and grow. People pay far too little attention to the power and effects of thoughts. The significance of thought is most powerful. What does this power consist of? Thoughts, ideas, change, conquer, and rule the world. When it was declared by Plato that ideas rule the world, the power of thought was affirmed. Rulership is not in crowns nor in crowds, but is in the cosmic expanse of ideas. Thought affects people and other living beings, such as animals and flowers. One should remember that no thought can remain without consequences. It may affect a person who is far away. Thoughts form stratifications on objects and shape the aura or atmosphere of a place. How often have I stated that the accumulations of thought are far more virulent than poisons? Just as fire deposits a patina upon a vessel, so is the fire of thought irremovable when it saturates the surface of an object. Urusvati knows how firmly human thoughts are accumulated on objects. Verily, man himself creates good and bad things and places. Many leaders chose new locations so as to avoid the bad accumulations of previous dwellings. The experiments of the Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto prove the impact of thoughts on water. Positive thoughts create beautiful, harmonious. Negative thoughts create ugly, inharmonious water crystals. The quality of the bread we bake and of an object we manufacture depends largely on the thoughts with which we are at work. Not rare are objects made in an hour of hatred, fatigue, terror, or despair. They will carry these sendings with them into the world. In the broadcasting communion with the higher world, we had already spoken about the healing power of help through thoughts. It works on a worldwide scale. A person with each elevation of the spirit is of substantial aid to others, but a person falling in spirit may thereby even kill someone. One can cite numerous examples, such as how one who became insane in Asia was the cause of the death of another in Europe, or how one who rose in spirit in America healed another in Egypt. There is, however, also mental murder. A great number of murders take place at long distances from thoughts. One may be horrified by the countless mental crimes which have not been legislated against, and yet they are destroying the lives of people and the life of the whole planet. Let man ponder upon the poison of sendings. It is time to pay attention to the amount of sicknesses generated by thoughts. A thought works like a magnet. It attracts that what corresponds to its nature. Thought attracts positive currents like a magnet and repels negative ones like a shield. A pure thought purifies the aura and emanates a radiant light. Purity of thought is the best defense against the dark entities that cling to every dark thought. Every thought is in a way a magnet that attracts whatever is similar to it. Each good thought begets goodness, and each dark thought is a cradle of evil. It causes to flourish in our surroundings those forces that are present in ourselves. In any object there are to be found, side by side, perfect parts and chaotic particles. It is possible to call to action either the perfect or the chaotic portions of each thing. When a man thinks about the inconvenience of an object, it actually becomes inconvenient. When a man thinks about a beautiful object, its perfect particles begin to act. The object is, as it were, animated through human thought. Man has but to realize this natural force, to apply it beneficially in all circumstances of life. The main thing, however, is thought creates the person you are and the world in which you live. We will now talk about these 2 points in more detail.